listen, I beg of you, please vote for my boys. So here's the deal. I started these notes like right before the second season of Boys Planet started airing, Boys 2 Planet, if you will. And as of me filming this, I believe we're right before one of the eliminations. I actually don't know. I don't know. I'm not watching this season. I have enough going on in my life. I'm not watching this season. But we're nearing elimination, but more importantly, Kangmin is dropping. Kangmin is plummeting in the rankings specifically. He's our best shot at debut, at getting very, very more fans, and he's plummeting. He's not doing well. So again, I'm making this video almost exclusively as a plea to you all. Please vote for Donghun, Gaehyun, and Kangmin. This is gonna age real poorly if they get eliminated, if they don't make it, but we're not there yet, okay? As of right now, all of them are still there. None of them have been eliminated as far as I'm aware, which means this is my time to go crazy, right? This is my best shot to go crazy and explain to you all that VERIVERY is underrated and they are legends, okay? VERIVERY is such a goated group and no one talks about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. I've taken time out of my day to create this for you all so you can watch me go crazy about a boy group that I love. However, before I begin, there's a very important question we must answer. What candle am I going to burn in the making of this video? Here's the thing. I'm going to put these down. I always have a candle going when I film these because I'm usually here for like 3 to 4 hours. And I had a green apple candle that I got from IKEA in like February. And it was like my go-to candle. It's sat on the bookshelf that's right... Okay, I don't know what I knocked over. It's right like there. You can't really see what this arm is doing. It's right next to me. I have a bookshelf right there. It's where I put things. It's usually where my drink is. I don't yet have a drink. I'll get one. But it's where my candle goes. That's the point. And I finished off my green apple candle when I was filming my 101 video. And I also conveniently went to IKEA last night and I got 3 candles. And together, right now, you're gonna essentially watch me decide which one I want to do. Here are my options, okay? I have a pear one, I have another green apple one, and then I have a strawberry one. I'm thinking we did green apple last time. I don't really want to do green apple, so that one's out. Between the pear and the strawberry, I need to simmer on this. I think strawberry. I think it's summertime, strawberry will be a more refreshing scent, and then when it's wintertime, the strawberry can keep me going. It can keep me sane. Also, this thing says it burns for 25 hours. The last candle I had, my first green apple one, it said it burned for 20 hours. And if you've watched the things I've posted, specifically my history ofs that I've posted since February, I believe the actual runtime is probably 10 to 15 hours. My EXO video's in there, so like that definitely helps. But that candle certainly burned for 20 hours. I have to assume this can probably get me through the rest of the year. Okay, candles lit. If you were wondering, if you've ever been watching this and you notice when I lean back, this is a bad slide for it. Hold on, let me go back a slide. If you've noticed when I lean back, there's typically like a little glare thing around here. That's my candle. My face usually blocks it when I sit up, but when I sit back, you can see it by the E. That's my candle. If you were ever wondering what that is, I've noticed it many times and it bothers me every time. I don't have a better place for my candle though. Like I need my candle in a place that is not going to set something on fire. My apartment building did also recently have like an actual fire. So we're just going to go with it and we're going to hope nothing bad happens and you're going to ignore the little glare that pops up when I move. Anyway, this is the point of the reason we're here is my shout outs. Right? This is my shout out slide. We have to give credit where credit is due. First, Miss Smoky Glow. She has been appearing on my Instagram again, which is always well and good. Good to know she's alive. Good to know she's doing well. The reason she's here is that she used to make these Evolution Up videos back years ago now. She stopped making them. But I loved them, okay? I loved them so dearly. She'd take a YouTuber or makeup company, depending on the day, and she'd do like a deep dive. And I found them fascinating beyond belief. I watched them religiously. They are the original inspiration for my videos. I know deep dives aren't like a novel concept, especially on MissYouTube.com. But Smoky Glow is the reason that I make these. She is my core inspiration, if you will. I will be linking both her Evolution Up playlist and her channel in the description. Nextly is the Bestie. The Bestie actually came to IKEA with me. She did hate the candles. She hates candles. So like it does make sense. But either way, shout out to the bestie for just tolerating me more than anything else. I do feel like I was less annoying this time. I feel like I say that. I've said that a lot recently, that I've been less annoying. But either way, the bestie tolerates me. She tolerates my insanities and psychoses. And also, it was her idea to make slideshows. I actually think I forgot to mention that the last time around because I was too focused on celebrating her birthday. But her idea, slideshows, right? Like, we were watching the Grammys one year. She's like, you should make slideshows. And I was like, you're so right. And ever since I've done these as slideshows, everyone say thank you to the bestie. And lastly, Bean. I have actually been falling off. Bean, I'm sorry. I've been falling off lately. I have not called Bean in like 2 weeks. I'm a bad friend. Bean deserves better than me. But Bean is here because Bean is the reason I can make long videos, right? Bean is the only reason that I can sit here endlessly. This is my second history of in like a week and a half. And I'm able to do that because of Bean. Because of Bean. And also she's my biggest fan. She's my best supporter, if nothing else. Bean does not care. Bean cannot be bothered to care about a K-pop group, right? Like, that's not her vibe, that's not her jam, and that's fine. We love that. For her, to each their own. However, she will still watch, if nothing else, every history of I make, and will like them, and often comment on them. Bean, I don't deserve your support. And last thing before we can begin is, of course, my disclaimers. I have to cover my bases. I have to be careful. Because some people out there are crazy, so listen, I'm warning you now, you can't get mad at me later. First, disclaimer. I started these notes in July, and more importantly, I'm currently sitting here in real time. It is 5:16 p.m. on August 4th. That is my disclaimer to you. It is August 4th, 2025, okay? As of right now, Boys Planet 2 is still airing. It is still actively going, and as far as I'm aware, none of the members have been eliminated. Obviously, I don't expect all three to make it in the group. So, like, my thing is just, like, be aware that I'm filming this on August 4th. If something dramatically changes, like, if all three of them are suddenly the top three in the next episode, I'd love to see it. But, like, this is still my plea, and you should still vote for it. Other disclaimer, I'm not covering everything. I'm gonna skip some stuff, okay? I'm gonna skip a decent amount of stuff, and we all need to be okay with that. This is the point of my history ofs is not to give you every single thing that the group has done, right? Like, I cover important things. I cover what I deem important things. In other words, I cover releases and tours, obviously, and then I typically will cover just miscellaneous other stuff that I think is relevant or fun. And that's how this works. That's how this always works, and I get comments more often than I would like, also known as ever, that are telling me that I skipped stuff. And they make me go crazy because I have this disclaimer in every single video. Since my very first history of, I believe, maybe not. Definitely since I started doing slideshows, I've made it very clear that I'm not covering everything. I've made that and people still comment it. And it makes me want to set things on fire. The sudden realization that my apartment building, again, did recently have a real-life fire, and I'm now making threats of setting things on fire. Not a good look. Not a good look for me. I promise I did not commit arson. I promise the apartment fire was not on me. I literally wasn't here when it happened. But either way, last disclaimer is just opinions at times. Listen, I love Very Very. Very Very's best songs are some of my favorite K-pop songs. They have god-tier work in their catalog, okay? There are also other Very Very songs that I really don't like. And we all need to be okay with the fact that I'm going to give the songs flowers that deserve it. If your song is a goated song, it will get its flowers. And other songs will be criticized justly if by no one else me. Like, these are my opinions, you can disagree with them. Alrighty, that's that, which means it's officially member time. It's time for the member section. It's time to meet the members of Very Very. And as always, or as typically, I should say, because I didn't do it in my last video, but we go in H order. We go in H order to pretend we're normal and to pretend we're unbiased. I'm now having the realization in real time that I'm filming this on Donghan's birthday. Anyway, that's our first member. Our first member is Lee Donghan. He was born on August 4th, 1995. He is officially 30 years old. Good for him. Good for him. That's giving me a bit of existential dread. Anyway, he was born on August 4th, 1995. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Donghan. He was our leader, he is our leader, main rapper, and lead dancer. Anyway, let's have some Donghan fun facts. Fun fact number 1 is that he trained at SM Entertainment for a bit. Based off age and debut year, I'm assuming it was with the NCT members. That feels right. That feels right in my brain. We're going with it. He trained with NCT. I've decided this unilaterally. That's fun fact number 1. Fun fact number 2 is that he's a coffee lover. Maybe I should get coffee. I kind of feel like I need coffee. We're getting very distracted. This is what happens when I work a full 8 hours, or I didn't work 8 hours today. When I work a full like 7.5 hours and then film a deep dive. Anyway, we need to focus. We need to focus on Logan. He's a coffee lover. He's a coffee lover, very me-coded. Last thing, he's very close friends with Wyatt from for On and Off. I refer to Tuxt as Tuxt, or TXT as Tuxt in every video because that's what I call them, and people got really confused. So when I say Wyatt of ONF, I mean of like ONF, On and Off. I made a deep dive into them. It'll be somewhere in the description. But either way, they're friends, and I find it fascinating because they simultaneously have like polar opposite vibes and extremely similar vibes. Like, they do this simultaneously. It's weird, but it makes sense in my brain. Also, this man said his favorite ice cream flavor is caramel peanut. And here's the thing. I've never had caramel peanut ice cream in my life. I don't think I've ever seen caramel peanut ice cream in my life. I need it now. It sounds delightful. I would very much like to try it. I've been thinking about it for like a good few weeks now. And I need it. I need it in my body. I crave it. Also, while I'm here, casual reminder, our lovely 30-year-old, he's on Voice to Planet, in case you forgot about that. In case you forgot the reason that we're here, which is to tell you to vote for the very, very members that are on that show. So vote for him. Go vote for him. Do it for his birthday. Anyway, our next member is going to be Bae Hoyoung. He was born on August 10th, 1998, which again, in real time, it's almost his birthday. Happy birthday. He is our main dancer and lead rapper of VERIVERY, which is interesting. I find that interesting for one key reason. Don't make me explain this. I'm right. He has main vocal face. Face aside, let's have some fun facts. Okay, fun fact number 1 is here's our token prankster. He's a pranky little boy, and we love that for him. Fun fact number 2, he is a dog lover. The only morally correct stance there is. And fun fact number 3, his sister is Bae Damin. She is an actress. I had never heard of her outside of her relation to Hoyoung, but I did Google her. I know some of the stuff she's been in, so good for her. Also, last thing. Hoyoung spent a few years living in New Zealand, which means he speaks fluent English, which for the record, I love a multilingual king, but also it means he speaks English with a New Zealand accent, which I find cute. I find it endearing. On to our next boy, Mr. Hong Min-chan. He was born on September 16th, 1998, and serves as the lead vocal and visual of VERIVERY. At least he does when he's here. Yeah, Min-chan's like always on hiatus, just a little bit. He first went on hiatus back in October of 2020, and he was on hiatus that time for around 7 months. He came back in May of 2021, but then he went back on hiatus again at the end of 2022, and we just haven't seen him since. I hope he's doing well. I do find it, like, weirdly fascinating, because he's still an official member of VERIVERY. Fun fact, actually, I want to say it's K-Profiles, one of the profile websites I used when I was making these notes, because I used a couple. But one of them has like an active members section and a members on hiatus section. I think it's really, really funny that he's in the active member section when like he's been on hiatus for years. But either way, he's been on hiatus for a while. We know it's for anxiety. Like, they've said it's for anxiety. And I just think it's really interesting that like he's still on hiatus. He's still an official member of VERIVERY, because I feel like most companies and most groups, he would have left. Either way though, ignoring his status of the group, can we circle back? Can we circle back to how he's a visual? This man's face, his face card is lethal. Okay, I feel like more people, if they knew about him, they would be really big fans of him in the way that like a lot of K-pop idols who are really hot are just weirdly popular because exclusively they're really hot talent unrelated. So like I feel like he'd be that. Look at his face. Look at his facial structure. Look at him. Anyway, let's have some Min-chan fun facts. Fun fact number 1 is he's a math prodigy, or at least like he was in school as a child. As a fellow math girl, I do really respect it. I love to see it. I love that for him. Other fun fact, he can play both the guitar, as seen here, and he can play the piano. I am a slut for piano. I had to share. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Min-chan lives in my apartment. I have like 4 decorations on my walls in my apartment because allegedly my building will charge you like heavily if you drill into the wall. So I have like nothing on my walls. One of the very few things on my wall is a poster of Min-chan that I put up in what was once my retrospective corner. If you want to see it, go back to definitely my History of the Boys, I'm pretty sure. But like there's a couple. Like start with the History of the Boys and like the next 3 after that I want to say. Min-chan's in my apartment. He lives on my wall. I'm literally looking at him right now. He's right over there. And I just had to share that. I had to share that Min-chan lives in my apartment. It's time. It's time for the one and only Jo Gyehyun. He was born on May 14th, 1999. Our first member who's younger than me, good for him. He is our lead vocal of VERY. Gyehyun fun facts include being left-handed, good for him. He also blushes easily, specifically his ears blush easily. I think it's cute. I think it's endearing. I like that for him. Also, he dislikes bell pepper, which is a new one for me. The bestie, one of the pickiest eaters you will ever meet. Cooking for the bestie is true. I love you. Cooking for the bestie is truly a nightmare because she refuses to eat like very normal things like garlic, onions, mushrooms. She's also vegetarian, and I don't like fish, so like cooking for her is hard. But like, so there's that. And then also, the only person I know of who dislikes bell pepper is one of my other best friends, one of my best friends from college. And she's allergic to bell pepper. So like, it's less of a dislike and more of a survival instinct. Gyehyun is weird. Also, Gyehyun, red-haired icon. Red-haired icon. There are idols out there where like, when I think of them, when I think of their ideal state, I think of them with a very particular hair color. And that's just how they live in my mind. For the red-haired ones, think Hyojin from ONF. Red hair immediately is what comes to brain. Gyehyun, I was trying to find a good picture of the red hair. Actually, I like it better now that I'm looking at it in the square cover, where it's like a fainter red. But he looks really good with red hair. Also with orange hair. He had orange hair for a stint, and that also looked good. Also, his black hair. We need to stop talking about the hair. Gyehyun looks good with a lot of hair colors. What I want to talk about, last thing for Gyehyun, is that lead vocal position. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. This man can fucking sing. Okay? That square cover... Listen, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I think about it constantly. It is everything to me. Also, again, in case you forgot why we're here, Boys Planet. Go vote for him. Go vote for him immediately. Do it for the vocals. Do it for the endearingness. Do it for the hair. Do it for whatever reason you want. Just go vote for him. I don't care why you do it, just do it. Moving on. Giuliano. He was born on May 31st, 2000, and is our actual main vocal. As for his fun facts, first and foremost, he is our snaggle-toothed king. You can't really see it, actually, in any of these pictures, but trust me when I tell you he's our snaggle-toothed king. I think it's cute. If you didn't watch the one-on-one video and watch me go crazy about Ujin, I do think it's cute when an idol has a little snaggle tooth. So there's that. He also can play the piano. We've already established I am a slut for piano. So, good for him. Third thing, his favorite ice cream flavor is mint chocolate chip. And I'm not saying a demon possessed me and that demon was Giuliano. However, since taking these notes and sitting here right now on August 4th, I did buy and eat an entire pint of mint chocolate chip. So yeah, that did happen. Also, actually, last thing. Apparently, Yono is the member who takes the best selfies. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that he's not cute. We've established I think he's cute. But if you were to ask me to guess which member I think would take the best selfies, that is not Yono. He does not have that energy around him. Okay, next up we have Kim Young-sung. He was born on June 17, 2000 and serves as our excellent main dancer and is also our sub-vocal. That makes it sound like he can't sing. He can sing. He can sing. He's just like a really good dancer and like a good singer, okay? Either way, let's have his fun facts. Let's have his fun facts before I say anything else offensive. First and foremost, he's a list maker. That's king shit, okay? That is king behavior. If nothing else, I respect him for being a list maker, okay? Second thing, he's a Rubik's Cube boy. Love that for him. I never got into them. I feel like they were something I would enjoy. I never got into them. Last thing is that he loves little plants. He's a plant boy. He's a planter. So good for him. Also, pause. Hear me out. You know that like viral trend thing that's going on right now where it's like, listen to my boyfriend while he tells you about his hyperfixation or I'll beat you up, like that type of thing. Like you better be nice and you better comment. Can someone do that for him with his plants? I think it would be fun. I think it would be cute. Actually, hear me out. Hear me out. He's also the violent one. He makes the threats. He's like, listen to my hyperfixation or I'll beat you up and then let me talk about my little plants. I think that would be cute. I think they need to do it. And last but not least, our baby Kangmin. Kangmin was born on January 25th, 2003 and serves as the lead dancer, sub-vocal, sub-rapper, visual, face of the group, and maknae. Also, can we take a moment and talk about the age gap for a second? You may recall Young-sung. If you did forget, he was around 18 at debut. He's the next youngest member. Kangmin was almost 16, and it really does give that tweet about, I believe, Kiki when they debuted. And it was like normal age, normal age, normal age, or normal age, obligatory 14-year-old. It's fine. I mean, it's not. It's not. One day, we as a society need to talk about the child exploitation in K-pop, but today is not that day. Today's the day I'm talking about Very Very, but first we're gonna have Kangmin fun facts. First, he likes soccer. I think he needs to link up with Choi Minho. I was thinking about this. During the Running saga, and I was thinking about how Choi Minho needs to expand his horizons. He needs to start torturing / hanging out with Idol outside of SM Entertainment, okay? We need to expand. He needs to be a threat to the industry, not just the company. Either way, I want him to link up with Kangmin. I think it would be funny. Second thing, he used to host Show Champion with Sana and Moonbin of Astro. If you don't know this about me, don't talk to me about Astro, because I'll never stop talking about them, and you're all gonna die of old age before I finish, okay? So there's that. We love Astro in this house. Last thing, he has said his dream collaboration is Bruno Mars. And I just think him and Rosé need to have a chat. Also, yes, in case you forgot, Kangmin. Vote for Kangmin. Vote for Kangmin on Boys Planet. See, I want to say that he's doing fine, and you don't need to vote for him, because he is technically still in, like, the top 8, I think is the debut number. He's in the top whatever now, but he is slipping. You should vote for him. But actually, no, I take it back. If anyone, you should vote for Gyehyun. He says, in the most unbiased manner known to man. But with that, we have officially met our iconic lineup of Very Very, and can now begin the history of Very Very. Alrighty. Now, the tale of Very Very begins, or at least where I've decided to begin, I should say, is summer of 2018. That's when we got the announcement that Jellyfish Entertainment was going to be debuting their first boy group in years. Their first boy group specifically since VIX in 2012. For the non-VIX pilled among us, VIX is iconic. VIX is everything. Okay, VIX is still to this day considered one of the greatest performing K-pop groups ever, like from a performance actual standard, not like numbers wise, although they were also quite popular during their day, which basically meant all of this. All of this meant that we were all very excited to learn that Jellyfish was working on a new boy group. This excitement only grew stronger when Mnet began airing Now Very Very. The Real Road movie is technically its full title. I call it Now Very Very. Either way, it began airing in September and would run through November of 2018. Not to mention that on top of content, we also got music. We got Super Special, a single Very Very released, our very first song from them, that they released as part of the Now Very Very show. And honestly, I kind of love this song. I do. It's fun, it's cool, it's funky, it's very retro. Early Very Very had this retro vibe going for them. The one thing, it was not as VIX coded, okay? A lot of people were upset that this wasn't more of a VIX style song, because VIX has a goated catalog, and they conveniently went on hiatus in 2018, so a lot of people were like, maybe VIX Core. We did not get VIX Core. What we did get, however, is very good. I personally do like it. I think it's a very good start for the group. November got us our very first Very Ground release, or more accurately, the first one I want to cover. It also wasn't called Very Ground yet. Very Ground is their cover series, though. They do covers, and they call them Very Grounds, and they post them on YouTube.com. There's a playlist. I would actually highly recommend it, but this is the first one I want to talk about, okay? This was a Vocal Line, aka Gyehyun, Minchan, Hyuno. They gave a cover of My Answer by EXO. And here's the thing. If you did not watch my 4-hour, 45-minute magnum opus history of EXO, or even if you did, and you didn't make it to the, 90-minute mark where I talk about the Exodus album, My Answer is one of my favorite EXO ballads. Top 3 to 5 EXO ballads for me, depending on the day. Never below number 5, though. It's everything to me, and Very Very devoured this cover. Obviously, they're not giving us EXO vocals, because, no non-SM boy group, maybe Infinite, but for the most part, you're not going to get EXO vocals from a non-SM boy group. So, the vocals weren't everything that an EXO vocalist could do, but, it was still so good. It was still so beautiful. I would highly recommend it. Also, again, just to be clear, in case anyone forgot, I don't cover everything, okay? I don't talk about everything. I'm going to talk about the Very Ground releases that I want to talk about. The ones that make me go a special brand of crazy. I'm not talking about all 30 of them. There's 30 of them. I wouldn't have things to say about, 20 of them. And then there's, 5 that are good but don't make me go crazy. I'm talking about, 5 of them. Okay, I talk about main releases here, okay? Speaking of main releases, though, January 9th. January 9th would give us Various. the debut mini album from Very Very. And the album sold fine. 2019 was really the year of the post-101 debuts, and aside from them and Tux did well. But other than that, pretty much every debut by comparison would fall a little short. So, like, it wasn't on par with all the debuts at the time, but if you compare them to the non-101 debuts that happened around the same time, the album sold pretty well. Various would sell 25,000 copies and peak at number 4 on the Gaon charts. Nothing crazy by any means, but a respectable number for a brand new boy group that had no real established fan base going in. And then there's the title track. And Ring 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 is really good. Again, it has that retro vibe to it, plus it's fun and it's cute. It's honestly the exact opposite of what I think of when I think of a VIXX single, because I'm like a fantasy girl, right? I think of dark concepts for VIXX. This is the opposite of that, and actually that's good. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I do think it's good. I think it's very good that they established their sound as being not VIXX, like the polar opposite from VIXX, because it meant that they could make their own music without having to constantly live in VIXX's shadow. It also did fine, commercially speaking. It wasn't a charting hit, because, spoilers, like most fourth generation boy groups, Very Very has never appeared on the charts whatsoever, but it did do decently well on streaming. The music video has around 4 million views to its name, which is not great. There are many at 2019 debut, even the non-101 and Tux ones, that have a lot more than that, but there are also a decent amount that have a lot less than that. Like, there are groups out there that have 1 million views on their debut music video, so like 4 million is pretty good. Meanwhile, on Spotify, it has around 3 million streams. Again, not the strongest by any means, but not the worst. God, I hate talking about debuts. I hate talking about debuts so much from a commercial standpoint, because unless you're someone like ITZY or like 101, where like you had such a monumental debut, I need something to compare you to, right? Like, that's how my brain works. My brain compares. I need something to compare Ring 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 to, and I don't have anything, because they don't have any other singles. But enough about numbers. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about the album itself, as an album. Because the fun sound, like that bright poppy sound that is the title, is throughout this album. And for those who don't know, I love a bright little cute sound from a boy group. Like, let's talk about All Right for a second. All Right is great. It's fun, it's catchy, it also has really good music. That's my favorite background music on this album. It's so unique. I feel like it's a sound that not a lot of boy groups really do, and I want more of them to do it because I really like it. There is one song that I don't think the bright energy works for, though, which is, where is it? Flower. Flower. Hear me out. I like Flower, and I think if it was, like, a little bit slower, I'd love it. I think if it was at, like, 0.75 speed, same song in every single way, just, like, a little bit slower, I'd be obsessed with it. But if you want to talk about slower songs, let's talk about our golden B-side, Miss FIL. Here's the thing. If you haven't watched my other history of, specifically more recent ones, my golden B-side is just my favorite song on the album. Specifically my favorite B-side, I should say, because the title can't be the golden B-side. A single can't be the golden B-side. It's got to be a B-side. It's the golden B-side. However, it's my favorite song. It is not necessarily the best song. That is an important distinction. I've gotten in debates about it. It is my favorite song. Back to the song, back to FIL. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, if I'm being quite honest, but I am. It's just, it's chill, and it's pretty, and it fucks, and I shouldn't like it this much. I'm very aware of that. All Right, where's All Right? All Right is much more of my vibe of a song, but she has me in a chokehold. Now, that's all the B-sides that are on streaming that I want to talk about, but there's one more song. The last song on the CD that we need to discuss is Thank You Next. I feel like the best place to start this off is to tell you what the Thank You Next songs are, okay? For starters, they're on every album. Every album ends with a CD-exclusive Thank You Next, which is a teaser of some of the music for their next album. Think of it like a next time on Very Very, right? That's how I think about it. It's next time on Very Very. So it's also not the full song. It's important. It's not the full song. It's just a snippet, and it's just the music. So, like, for example, on the Various album, we heard a snippet of the music for Love Line, which is going to be on their next mini album. And can I just say, I fucking love this. I love this so much. I could say a lot of things are the best thing Very Very has ever done, and I could very easily say Thank You Next is everything, okay? I want more groups to do a Thank You Next style ending, because, like, it's so good. Because, especially for a K-pop group, right? Like, the next album is in the works, by the time you finish the last one. Like, that's pretty much always the case. Two to three comebacks a year is very normal. So, like, you would presumably even have one song done, right? And I just think that that's a really cool idea. I want them on streaming. That's my one thing, is that I would love them on streaming, because the only way to hear that snippet is to buy the album, or to just look it up. Most of them are findable in some form, but, like, I think it's so good. I think it's so smart. I think it's such a good idea. I'm so unwell about it. Anyway, promotions for their debut would take us into February, which is when we got our first DIY music video. Okay, technically it is our second. They did one for Super Special, but this is our first post-debut DIY music video. I actually love their DIY music videos. I think they're so fun, and they're so cute. They're some of my favorite pieces of VERIVERY content. It was directed by Minchun. They're all directed by Minchun, which is important, because you won't see them for the comebacks he's not a part of, but it was directed by Minchun, and it's just behind-the-scenes content. It's just fun, goofy, cute, behind-the-scenes content. I will say Gyeohyun is heinous. Where is he? The blonde? Listen, I think we've established there's a lot of hairstyles that I think really work for him. This is not one of them. Anyway, this would come out in February, at the end of February to be exact, but VERIVERY was already back to work. They were already preparing for their next album. And sure enough, on April 24th, we got Variable, the group's second mini-album, along with its lead single, From Now. And let's actually start with the song for just a second, because From Now is actually really cool. It sounds similar enough to Ring 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 that it's like building that distinctive sound, but it's distinct at the same time, right? Like, Ring 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 had the 90s vibe, it had that retro vibe. Here specifically, the 90s vibe comes from the rapping. These raps are very old school of a vibe, and I really like it. As a whole, though, personally, I do think it is a decline from Ring Ring Ring, but, like, it's still great. It's still a good song. I still really like it. It's fun. It's just a downgrade, a slight downgrade. And unfortunately, that downgrade was not just for the sound, it was for the numbers as well. From Now has 1.4 million streams on Spotify. That's one of their least streamed singles to this day, and a very big drop from their debut. YouTube, however, was even worse. The music video for From Now has 1.7 million views. Reminder, their debut had 4 million. That's a lot, right? Like, if you doubled that number, I'd still be a little wary. So, like, to only get 1.7 million, we're not doing well. And to top it all off, the album sold less. It would peak at number 6 on the Gaon chart, so not bad. A drop from 4 to 6, I'm fine with that. I'm not worried. The number that scares me is this one. This one sold 18,000 copies, and here's the thing. You don't want to go down with your second release, typically. Unless you're like 101, where like you debuted and you did crazy numbers. You want to be going up. You want to be growing your fan base. This number going down with their second comeback is alarming. But enough numbers, let's talk music once more, because in spite of the declining success, this album is still really good. We got our first real VERIVERY ballad with All I Do, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It perfectly showcases the members' vocals in ways we absolutely did not get on their debut album. There's also Love Line, which has one of their best choruses, at least up until this point in their career. I know they have 10 songs. Mind your business, I'm right about this. There's also Light Up at the end of the album. I love that song. It's probably the weakest on here, at least to me, but it's this chill, sexy vibe that I'm still really into. However, for our Golden B-side, I gotta give it to Get Ready. I really do. Like, that song, hear me out, it reminds me of, like, goofy BAP. Like, when BAP decides to do a silly song, but simultaneously it's still fun, and it's still catchy, and it's still a great time. That's what that song gives me. I love it. Just like with their debut, we would get around a month of promotions for the album, and then they'd start on the next one. And sure enough, July 31st got us very chilled. It was first single album. And to what is presumably blaring alarm bells to the people at Jellyfish Entertainment, this album saw the continued decline we'd seen with their last release, right? It became the lowest peaking VERIVERY album, even to this day. It peaked at number 10 on the Gaon charts, as well as continuing to drop in sales. It only sold 17,000 copies. And then there's the title track, Tag, Tag, Tag. I'll tell you about the numbers in a minute, but I want to pause and say I really like this one. I really like the song. The biggest factor is the chorus for me personally. I love this chorus. It's kind of the perfect boy group chorus, but then they keep that like retro 90s rap vibe we gotten From Now. It's just, I love this song. Here's my thing. I do think this is the best of their first 3 singles, right? Like, of the Very trilogy, this is the best title track. Ring 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 will forever be my favorite of the 3, because, like, it's just so iconic. But, like, this one's really good, too. And Society agrees with me. Society agrees it's better than From Now, because I got a boost. The numbers got a boost. The music video got just under 4 million views, so we're already back at around debut era numbers with YouTube. Meanwhile, over on Spotify, it would see a jump to 2.4 million. Not quite debut numbers, but a dramatic improvement from their last single. Very Chill only had 1 B-side, which means, by definition, our golden B-side is going to go to Mystery Light. And here's the thing with that song. We've had good Very Very B-sides. We have Very Very B-sides that I love. This is what I would consider to be our first objectively great Very Very B-side. This song is cool, and it's funky, and the chorus, the music in the chorus, listen, this song is some of the best music I've ever heard from a boy group, and we all need to accept that. Now, that's all the lore for this album, but I want us to take a big picture view for a second. Very Very had dropped 3 albums in around 7 months. Okay? That's a lot. That's a lot for your first 3 releases to be in 7 months. They were tired. They needed a rest, and Jellyfish seemed to know that too. Like, they've been working nonstop. Once you take into account promotions and preparations and whatnot, they've been working nonstop for like 9 to 10 months. They needed a rest. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. So, October, Very Very released My Beauty for the show Extraordinary You, or more accurately I should say, Very Very Vocaline released My Beauty, because the song is just Gyehyun, Mincheon, and Yeonho. And this song did insanely well, okay? It did crazy numbers by Very Very standards. This is, to this day, their most streamed song on Spotify. It has just under 10 million streams, while on YouTube it became by far their most viewed music video with 15 million views. And here's the thing, right? Like, I always really need to give context in the sense that I like to compare a group's success to themselves. That's why I hate debuts and talking about them in a numerical sense, because I have nothing to compare them to. I like comparing groups to themselves, because that's really the best metric to use in my mind. And for a group like Very Very, 10 million streams is roughly equivalent to their entire catalog. It's actually more than their entire catalog had up until that point, right? Their entire YouTube lifespan had around 10 million views. Like, to pull in 15 million views, now granted, OST numbers are weird. It depends on the show, I've noticed. Like, some shows will have crazy OSTs that get crazy numbers, but like, by pretty much any Very Very metric, they would have been great with this song. It, however, does not hurt that this song is excellent. This song is amazing. I have one complaint. I wish the music in the chorus hit a little harder. That's it. Aside from that, it's perfection. I think it's actually strong enough. This could have been like a mainline Very Very single, and I think it could have been like a moment, okay? Because like, it's so good. It is easily my favorite thing Very Very released in their first year. It is also the last thing they released in their first year, and they're going to spend the rest of 2019 doing normal year-end stuff that I never talk about because I never care. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to take a little moment and have a little retrospective. Alrighty. Welcome to the retrospective corner. Now, if you're new here, if this is your first time watching one of my history ofs, I just like to end every year with a retrospective. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. We cover highlights because we're already pretty deep into this video and I feel like I need to reorient us. But as a whole, 2019 was an interesting year. I really don't want to, but I do feel like the best way to describe it is as a disappointment. I'm not saying that Very Very needed to pull in VIX numbers from debut, but it is worth noting that 2019 was a stacked year for debuts. We had major labels debuting new artists, as well as, of course, the post-101 wave that saw a bunch of debuts, or long-awaited comebacks, I'll call it, in terms of newest. But in general, there was just so much going on in the boy group scene. Very Very did just kind of fade into the background. Thankfully, I can say the lows of 2019 are probably the lowest we'll ever get. And with that, let's talk about 2020. Okay, it's time for 2020. And can we have real talk? Can we have real talk for like 5 seconds? Like, unrelated to Very Very. It's hot. It's fucking hot out. It's in the 70s right now. In spite of being 6:30 in the evening, it's hot. I got my John May fan. I got this at K-Pop Nara. I think we all just need to accept the fact that I'm going to be fanning myself from time to time. and we all need to be okay with that because it's hot. Okay, I feel like I've been turning redder and redder throughout this video. I had to take a break and shove my face in the freezer and like press a bunch of ice on my forehead because I was overheating. We need to be okay with the fact that I'm going to be doing this from time to time because it's fucking hot. Anyway, thank you for letting me complain about the heat. Back to VERIVERY in 2020. VERIVERY didn't always time in 2020, but on January 7th, just before their first anniversary, they released Face Me, their third mini album and the first part of their Face It trilogy. And we're going to start this section off with the single Layback. Here's the thing. There is a very good argument to be made that this is VERIVERY's biggest hit. It's certainly their biggest hit up until this point, okay? It was not a charter by any means, because again, they don't chart, but it did see a huge jump in terms of Spotify streams. It has 9.5 million streams. That's roughly 4 times what their last mainline single had. And it did even better on YouTube. Over on YouTube, the music video has 16 million views. That is their most viewed music video up until this point in their career, and their second most viewed now in 2025. Now, there are various factors we could focus on as to why this song did well, the biggest one probably being the OST they just released. I'm choosing to highlight the fact that this song's really fucking good. This song is amazing, okay? I will say one thing. It was a major sonic shift for VERIVERY. VERIVERY's first 3 titles, or I guess 4 if you want to count the pre-debut song, but their first few titles had been very retro, but very cutesy and poppy and bright, okay? That was the vibe. This is more of a classic boy group sound. Frankly, I feel like it wouldn't have been out of place coming from like Ulim or an Ulim boy group, and if you know me, and you know Ulim, and you know my thoughts on Ulim and their music, that is the highest praise I can give a song. Okay, enough about Layback. Let's talk about the album. Okay, this album saw a huge jump in sales for VERIVERY. Face Me became the group's highest selling album to date, with more than 30,000 copies sold. I know. 30,000 copies, even in 2020, is not a lot, right? I get that. We compare groups to themselves, right? That's like double what their last album sold. It also peaked way higher. It peaked to number 4. It tied for their highest speaking album. So in general, this is the most successful album they've had so far. Now, let's talk B-sides, because the title track was not the only song that got a sonic shift. This whole thing has a very different vibe than their last few albums. And for the most part, I think it turned out well. I do enjoy most of this album. I hate Photo. That's my very, very hot take. I hate Photo. It's unfortunate. Photo is easily their most popular B-side. I can't stand it. I really don't like it. But it's fine. It's fine. We have Paradise. Paradise is one of those songs that just hits perfectly in ways that I can't explain. We also have Moment. Moment is gorgeous. It's nice, it's chill, and the vocals are excellent. However, for our golden B-side, I do gotta give it to Curtain Call. The thing with Curtain Call is excellent. In every way. Okay, if I were to make you a list of like 100 underrated 4th generation boy groups, that feels oddly specific, but either way, if I were to make you a list of underrated boy group songs, okay, best believe Curtain Call is on that list. The music is phenomenal. The pre-chorus is some of the best we've heard from VERIVERY to date, and then there's the chorus, which is, it's just perfection. Okay, I even like the raps. in the song. That is not a given in every K-pop song. I'm so serious. If not for Photo, I would actually call this the strongest VERIVERY album. Because, listen, if you take Photo out, it's so good. The things on here are so good, but it's fine. It's fine. I've learned to live with Photo, by which I mean I start the album with Layback. Speaking of Layback, though, Layback promotions would run into February, just in time for our next VERIVERY OST, when they released With Us for the show Itaewon Class. And it's nice. It's a nice time. It's much more of a classic OST, by which I mean it's a ballad. And it's good. The vocals are gorgeous, unsurprisingly. It's a nice listen. It was also another hit for VERIVERY, at least on streaming. It didn't get a music video, but this song got around 9 million streams on Spotify. Great. Great numbers for the group. I'm more than happy to take it. Then, in March, we got the very important announcement that VERIVERY was going on Road to Kingdom, the spin-off of the wildly successful Queendom. The show ran from the end of April into June. VERIVERY didn't do great on the show, like, by commercial numbers. Like, they didn't do well in the rankings, but what they did do is gain a lot of fans. A lot of the groups that went on Road to Kingdom ended up leaving with massive boosts in popularity, VERIVERY included. And to everyone's credit, no time was wasted in capitalizing on this newfound success. And within 2 weeks of the end of Road to Kingdom, VERIVERY had released Face You, their 4th mini album. In spite of peaking slightly low, it only made it to number 8 on the Gaon charts. This album immediately took over as the highest selling Very Very album, managing to pick up around 40,000 sales. And then there's the title track, Thunder. If you know me, and you know what I like in music, and you know what I like in boy group music, what I'm about to say shouldn't surprise you, but this is our first bad Very Very title. It's just so 4th gen boy group coded. It's loud. It's shouty. It hurts me. I don't like it. I pretend it doesn't exist. Unfortunately, to my dismay, Thunder did do pretty great. Not compared to Layback, but in comparison to their 2019 titles. The song has around 3.3 million streams on Spotify, more than any of their 2019 releases, and YouTube was even better. YouTube has 14 million views on the music video. If you took all their titles from 2019 and added up the YouTube views, you would still not get to 14 million. Basically, this song did great. Very Very is probably the only group who went on Road to Kingdom. I'd have to double check that, don't quote me on that, but certainly they're unique in the sense that they went on Road to Kingdom having already released a hit, and Thunder did do well. It capitalized on the success from both Road to Kingdom and from Layback. And it did well. I just wish it was a better song. But if we want to talk about better songs, we gotta talk about the B-sides. We're gonna start with the one I don't like. Okay, that's Connect. I don't like Connect very much. I think it has potential. I do like it more than Thunder. It's just not my favorite. That said, the other songs on this album are some of the strongest B-sides in Very Very's entire catalog. Okay, we have Beautiful X. They actually released it for Kingdom. It's a Kingdom song, but it's excellent. Okay, it has just this really cool music, easily their most interesting music in around a year, if I had to say. Plus, the chorus is amazing. If you want to see something life-changing, go watch a stage for this song. However, Beautiful X is not going to be our golden B-side. I don't think it could be allowed to, by my own rules and logic, although I am a despot. Either way, it's not. My golden B-side is going to go to Skynet. You ever hear a song and be like, hold the phone? This is what pop music needs. That's how I feel about that song. That song is easily, very possibly, like top 3 Very Very B-sides to me. It's definitely one of the more chill songs on the album, but simultaneously hits, and more importantly, I think it's summer-coded. Maybe it's that it's summer right now, but like, I feel like it's one of those songs that's very much toned down, but so summery at the same time, and that's what I want in this moment in my life, and also in general. I love this song. I will concede, however, I am biased because, this is when I got into Very Very. It's true. I'm part of the Kingdom wave, or the Road to Kingdom wave, I guess I should say. I'm part of that. I'd always known of Very Very, like, I'd streamed their music, I'd liked their music, but I hadn't, like, gotten into the group until I watched Road to Kingdom. And I was like, hold on, I like these boys. And then I committed after that. Also, in classic Very Very fashion, they promoted this thing for around a month, and then immediately got to work on the next album. But we're not there yet. First, we have to talk about one of the most important things for Very Very, for me psychologically, which is their cover of Square by Baekhyun, and specifically Minchan and Gyehyun's cover. I did that backwards. Minchan and Gyehyun's cover of Square by Baekhyun. Here's the thing. This cover is excellent in every way you could possibly imagine. Just let's start visually. Let's start with the viewing experience. They both look great. Minchan is Minchan. Minchan always looks great. Minchan has never looked bad a day in his life. But Gyehyun, he has his red hair. We've established, I think his red hair is his best look. Specifically, I think this more faded version of his red hair is his best look, and I do think this cover's a factor. And then there's the vocals. Minchan does well, don't get me wrong, but Gyehyun is the shining star. He spends the last, like, 90 seconds of this thing going a little crazy. He starts belting his heart out at one point, and I love it. I love it so deeply and existentially. It's also not relevant, but a little bit. It's set in this really cute greenhouse. It's set in this really cute, like, greenhouse that I want so bad. I live in an apartment, obviously. I don't have a yard to put a greenhouse in, but if I did have a yard, I'd want a greenhouse like this. I think it's really cute. I'm so unwell about this cover, okay? Because, like, here's the thing. You may recall, I'd just gotten into Very Very when they dropped this thing, so there's that. Gyehyun, in case you hadn't picked up on it, that's my boy. That's my son. So like, there's that. And he's popping off and looking amazing. So like, you add that element in, and then you add in the fact that they're covering Square by Becky Eden. I haven't talked about this, I don't think. I fucking love that song. I'm obsessed with Square by Becky Eden. I've heard that song countless times, okay? If like, you combine all the various places I've streamed that song and you added it all up, there's a very real chance that I've streamed Square by Becky Eden, like, top 50 songs I've streamed this decade. I'm crazy about that song. I'm crazy about this cover. It was designed in a lab to make me feral. I may or may not have had to pause and rewatch the Square cover. I did. I swear I'm like 2% of the views on that thing. Anyway, that wasn't a mainline release. That wasn't our real Very Very comeback. And on October 13th, we got said real Very Very comeback with Face Us, the group's 5th mini album. And once more, we need to start with the title. We need to talk about GBTB, aka Go Beyond the Barrier, which right off the bat, the T should not be in there. You don't acronymize a T. I don't know if that's a word. It's word now. You don't put the T in, but that's not why we're here. We're here because, again, like with Thunder, if you know my thoughts on music, you know what I'm going to say. But this is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. Listen, Very Very has a mixed bag when it comes to their titles. We've had Layback, an icon to be sure. We've also had this, heinous. And in the future, we will have more icons and more heinous songs. This, however, is without a doubt their worst title. Dare I say, this is the worst song Jellyfish Entertainment has ever made, okay? It's so shouty. It has a good pre-chorus. That's the one thing I'll give it. It has a good pre-chorus. But like, the chorus is horrific. I'm so sorry if you like this song. Okay, as someone who doesn't like to be shouted at when they listen to music, this song is the epitome of everything I hate. And to my horror, to my endless dismay, this was an even bigger hit than Thunder had been, okay? This song got 3.5 million Spotify streams. Nothing crazy. YouTube, though, this song has 16 million views on the music video, okay? I know that's like now, circa 2025, but like, that's nearly the same number Layback has. That's unacceptable. It did also go #1 on a Billboard's World Digital Sales chart. Here's the thing. I felt like I needed to mention that because I knew someone was going to be mad if I didn't. I don't consider that chart canon. And Very Very going #1 is a very good reason, or a good example, I should say, of why I don't. Listen, I love Very Very. I love Very Very. I may hate the song, but I love Very Very. I refuse to realistically believe they had the #1 selling song in the world for an hour, let alone a week. Anyway, let's turn to album sales, because this album actually was another great seller for Very. Once more, it didn't peak that strong. It peaked at #7 on the charts, still a top 10. Numbers are meaningless when it comes to peak position to me because it entirely depends on what else came out that week. I like to look at sales, and sales for this thing were great. This thing sold 50,000 copies. Their highest selling album to date, and their first to clear 50,000. Now let's turn to the B-sides. And while with their last album, I may not have liked the title, but I really thought it was a good album in general. I don't like this one very much. It's not a bad album, okay? I will say that. However, it is the most misses we've had so far, by which I mean there's more than 2 B-sides that I don't like. There are still 2 songs that I enjoy though. So Gravity, Where's So Gravity? So Gravity is our ballad on the album, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. However, it is not our golden B-side. Our golden B-side is going to go to, where is it? Hold Me Tight. Listen, I will be the first to admit that I don't like this album. I've already admitted that I don't like this album. I skip most of the songs on here. But I cannot deny that when Very Very makes a banger, they make a fucking banger, okay? That song is excellent. The chorus is incredible. The music is really strong. It's just, they made, maybe not a bad album, but certainly their weakest album to date, and then threw in a god-tier pop song just for funsies. Now, thus concludes the Face It trilogy. We finished the 3 albums, but life is not all sunshine and rainbows, because it is time for Minshan's first hiatus. Before promotions were even done for the album Minshan was gone, he has, again, publicly said it is for his anxiety, but he will be gone for a little bit. But it is not all bad, because we close out the year with Love at First Sight, a Christmas single. And here's the thing, if you were to pull up Spotify, our Apple Music for Very Very specifically, and you were to go through their catalog, you're probably really confused right now. You're probably like, what the fuck is this song? I've never heard of this song. And you are not alone. This song is exclusively available on SoundCloud and YouTube, which means personally, I basically never listen to it. But it's cute. It's a cute Christmas pop song. I personally do love a Christmas pop song. I would also recommend the music video specifically. It's adorable. I will warn you, certain members, I will not name names, but certain members have less than ideal hair. And if you know that going in, you will not be as shocked as I was, because I frankly forgot. And that's it for 2020. Why don't we take another break? Why don't we jump back to the retrospective corner? Okay, 2020. Honestly, a pretty great year for Very Very. Like, for some context, 3 highest-selling albums, all released in 2020. 3 most viewed music videos, all released in 2020. Their most streamed title track on Spotify, released in 2020. And I can't help but compare this to the 2019 retrospective, right? Like, by the end of 2019, Very Very was declining endlessly. Every release was doing worse as a whole. And in 2020, it's sort of the opposite. Maybe not the opposite, but like they're, if nothing else, outselling each prior album. And obviously the biggest change was Layback. Layback going viral did amazing things for Very Very that was only then compounded by their appearance on Road to Kingdom. Because obviously it didn't turn Very Very into like a group that was going to be the next Stray Kids or the next Tux. They were never going to be a major boy group, but certainly they were going to do a lot better than their trajectory had been at the end of 2019. However, only time will tell if they continue that trajectory. And with that, on to 2021. Jesus. Okay, we made it to 2021. I also took a shower. I got ready for bed because it's 8 p.m. and I'm overheating. So I took a cold shower. I also got a Gatorade in the hopes it would, like, keep me hydrated, keep me from passing the fuck out. We'll see. We'll see. I wasn't meant to live in heat. Anyway, Very Very. Back to Very Very. In March, Very Very would release Series O Round 1 Haul, their second single album and the first album of their O series. And in spite of being a single album, with single albums tending to sell less than minis and fulls, this thing sold incredibly well. It would become the new highest selling Very Very album with 70,000 copies and became their highest speaking album, or at least tied for their highest speaking album, as well as their highest speaking album in around a year, peaking at number 4 on the album charts. But enough about the album, okay? I need to talk about the title track for a sec, because this album was led by the one and only Getaway. And here's the thing, this album was explicitly, by the members' own admission, Very Very's attempt to make a more mature sound, a sexier sound. And when I say they did so perfectly, Getaway is probably the darkest title we've gotten from them, but it's certainly the sexiest. And I find this fascinating from like a logistical standpoint, because I think of sexy concept as having 2 real roots, or at least 2 roots groups take when they try and become sexier. Route 1 is definitely a classic, which is the shirtless route, or at least like you start showing stomach more than anything else. Think Treasure. When like Treasure tried to make a more mature sound, we suddenly started seeing a lot more shirtless pictures of like June and Doyoung and that type of thing, right? Like that's the Treasure route, the go shirtless route, the go sluttier route. The other route, the second route, is the choreography route. They basically just make really horny choreography. In other words, there will be a lot of dick close-ups and they will try and fuck the camera. And I think it's really interesting and also really impressive that Very Very did manage to make a much sexier sound. This song is sexy, at least if you ask me. I would say Getaway is a sexy song. It's sex in the song form, and they did it fully clothed and without shoving their dick in the camera. It is also worth noting, though, since we're here, this song is really good. Maybe it's my own mind. Like, the fact that this was their first good title since I got into Very Very is probably a factor, but also I really like it. It's cool. It's sexy. It hits. I enjoy this song. But not only did I enjoy this song, society enjoyed this song. This was a huge hit for Very Very. It would pick up 17 million YouTube views, becoming their most viewed music video to this day. Also, since I'm talking about it, the YouTube music video, iconic description. Iconic description. It is not the only one. If you ever get bored for like an hour, go read the descriptions of Very Very's music videos. They're always a fun time, but like, I could do a dramatic reading. This one's my favorite. The Getaway one is my favorite. But like, I could do a reading I feel like it works better as an experience if you read it while Getaway plays in the background. So, like, that's my recommendation. Pause this video. You can leave this video. You've been here long enough. But, like, go to the Getaway music video, read the description while the song plays in the background. Anyway, back to the actual song, the success of Getaway. Not only did it get a boost on YouTube, it got a boost on Spotify. Getaway has more than 5 million Spotify streams, becoming their most streamed single in well over a year. In short, a massive hit. A huge hit. I would say it's a contender for Very Very's biggest hit, but I'd be lying because Layback is probably their biggest mainline single hit, I should say. But, like, this is the second biggest, right? Like, Getaway was an absolute moment for Very Very. Now, let's talk B-sides, or more accurately, B-side. There's one other song on this album, which is, of course, Numbness. By definition, our golden B-side. And I'm fine with this. This isn't like I'm mad about it. Like, it's a good song. It's not my favorite. Certainly in comparison to other golden B-sides, it doesn't hold up. But, like, it's a good song. It gets shoutier than I would like at points, but the music is cool. I like it. Anyway, that's enough about the album. Let's talk about Minchan. Minchan's back. Minchan would come back in June, rejoining the group and ending his hiatus. June would also get us our next Very Ground cover that I feel like discussing. Okay? And also our first non-Gyehyun one. Interesting. I'm totally normal. I'm totally not biased. Anyway, we're talking about Yono's cover of Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. Let's start with the obvious. Okay, that's our main vocal. And he sounds fucking great here. He does. However, that's actually not why I'm bringing this up. I guess it's part of it. Reason one, I guess, of me bringing this up is that I do like this cover. It is a good cover. But the main reason I want to talk about this cover is I want to talk about one of my biggest pet peeves in covers in general. I typically watch more K-pop idol covers. So, like, that's where I associate it. He changed the gender. That's basically it. He changes girl to guy, and it pisses me off. It makes me real mad. And, like, there's no valid explanation for this. I think I've always just hated it. Like, Brightside, they did let him say fuck. I've seen many a Driver's License cover from a K-pop idol where they don't let them say fuck. So he got to say fuck. Good for him. But, like, he changed the gender and it makes me mad. However, it is not just Yono. Because Minchan got his own goated cover in July when he released a cover of Say You Won't Let Go by James Arthur. Now, you may recall, Minchan directs their DIY music videos, and I told you that the vibe of that is cute and fun and behind the scenes, and that's what this cover is. Like, in addition to being a cover, he's singing the song. But it's cute. It's nice. I do have one core complaint. At the end of this song, if you haven't heard this song in a while, you may have forgotten, but at the end of the song, there's a really powerful moment where when James Arthur sings it, he sings about how he's gonna love you till his lungs give out, right? Minchan picks that part out. Listen, I get it. I do get it. Minchan is a good vocal, but he's not that kind of singer. He doesn't have the kind of voice that could body a part like that in the way that, like, James Arthur does. Really nobody in Very Very, maybe Yono on his best day, but I feel like Very Very in general, they don't have the vocals where it's like they're gonna body that, like, deep voice, powerful moment. Like, I get why he cut it out, but also, I don't like it. That's my favorite part of the song. I'm now realizing I actually haven't talked about Minchan's vocals yet. Minchan has really good vocals. I think he got overshadowed, we'll call it, in the Square cover, but Minchan has a really pretty voice. He has this, like, light, nasally voice, not quite like Gyehyun, but similar enough that, like, they work really well together. And I am really glad this cover exists. I like it. I like the cover, I like the song, I like the way Minchan sounds doing it, but also it gave him his moment to shine. I feel like in mainline Very Very releases, he kind of gets overshadowed by Yono and Gyehyun, and I'm glad he got his moment to shine. Speaking of actual releases though, on August 23rd we would get Series O Round 2 Hole, the group's 6th mini-album, which I happen to have. And this album was another huge one for Very Very. For starters, it became their highest speaking album. It became number 2 on the Gaon charts. To this day, actually, their highest speaking album. Spoilers, they never get a number 1. But it was also held from the number 1 spot by No Easy, by Stray Kids. And, like, Stray Kids is a goated artist when it comes to physical sales, so being number 2 to them is not bad. Plus, it took over once more as the highest selling Very Very album, picking up 80,000 sales. And then there's the title track, Trigger. This song is kind of a mess. There are elements of the song that I do like. I think it has a good chorus. However, there are elements of the song that I don't like. Mainly the shouting. Honestly, to me, this song kind of feels like a mix of their last, like, 4 titles or so. It has the good stuff from Layback and Getaway, but it also brought the loudness of Thunder and GBTB, and I hated that. But as a whole, it's a mess. It's not bad. It did, however, see a pretty sharp drop in success compared to their last few singles. And for the record, I don't just mean in comparison to Getaway, which was a moment for sure. I mean in general, in comparison to their other 2020 plus releases, right? It got 1.5 million streams on Spotify. That's their lowest streamed single in years. YouTube also saw a pretty catastrophic drop, I'd call it. The music video has 10 million views, which is not bad. It did outperform their 2019 music videos, but it is their lowest viewed of their 2020 music videos. Now, let's talk about the B-sides, okay? And listen. I love Prom. On almost any other Very album, that would be our golden B-side. But this album has Heart Attack, and that is Very's best B-side to date. Listen, I do have a complaint. The shouty part is bad. That's 10 seconds of the song, and the other 3 minutes are some of the best music I've heard from a boy group this decade. The music is this incredibly cool and unique sound. It's almost hyperpop. It's definitely a sound we haven't heard from Very before, and the chorus is amazing. The verses are excellent. It's just, listen, if you're like a casual Very enjoyer, and you only really listen to the titles, listen to this song. If you enjoy a dance pop song, like a banger song, listen to this song. You will not be disappointed. Things would quiet down after Trigger, so we're gonna jump ahead. We're gonna jump ahead to November when we got the next Very ground cover that I want to talk about, and yes, it's another Gyehyun one. Specifically, it is Gyehyun's cover of The Way I Am by Charlie Puth. Listen, I'm crazy about this cover. If you thought I was crazy about the Square cover, I'm even more insane about this cover. I swear to God, I'm like 3 to 5% of the total viewership of this thing. When I tell you, this thing has me in a chokehold. I've watched this cover like 8 times since I started taking these notes. Let's start with looks, okay? We're gonna start visually. Gyehyun looks so fucking good here. Okay, for starters, we have the reddish hair. Always a moment for this boy. We also, you can't really see it in this image. He's wearing like a string choker, and it looks so fucking good. Plus, there's the hearts on the cheek. Like, listen, if you were to come to me and you were to look me in the eye and be like, what is the best Gyehyun has ever looked in his life? I'd straight up just pull up this cover and show it to you. Also, he's obviously vocaling his little vocal heart out. He sounds amazing here. My only complaint, I do actually have a complaint about this cover, which is that he only does the first verse. He only does the first verse, which does piss me off, but also, he does these little dances during the... It's so cute, okay? Like, this cover has me deranged in ways I didn't know I could be. Also, can I be honest? Can I say this? We're in a safe space. We've been here for long enough. I'm 100% sure that if a more popular idol, if like, not even Yeonjun, if like a random but like relatively popular idol had done this exact cover, same look, same vibes, same little dances, same vocals, everything the same, it would have gone mega viral, right? Like, specifically if actually like Yeonjun had done this cover, it would have gotten millions and millions and millions of views. And frankly, it would have been right too, okay? It would have been a moment. And no one watches this cover but me, because no one knows about it. This is my PSI, actually. My PSI continues to be vote for Gyehyun, Kangmin, and Donghan on Boys Planet. I stand by that. I haven't said it in a while, but you should vote for them. Never forget the real reason we're here. But my other PSA, my other call to action is to watch this cover. It's everything I could ever want in life. Okay, we've moved on. We've moved on from the Gyehyun cover. Let's talk about Very's first tour. In December, they would hold a US tour, their very first tour. At least, that was the idea. They didn't mostly accomplish it. They did kick off the tour on December 5th, as intended, and then would bob around the US until December 15th. Now, you may have noticed, December 15th is right here. And there's 3 more shows scheduled. And this is when Youngsung got COVID. Mind you, it was December of 2021. So, like, he did get COVID, and they had to cancel the last 3 shows. I would say I cared. I don't. Listen, for starters, I wasn't going to one of the last 3 shows. But more importantly, I wasn't going to any show on this tour. Lord knows I was not traveling for it in December of 2021. I had yet to get COVID by December of 2021, and I didn't want it. So I didn't travel that much in 2021. And I I wasn't traveling for it. They weren't coming to me. I don't know. If you want me to carry, maybe come to Seattle. Anyway, that's all I got for 2021. We're going to go back to the retrospective corner now. So, here's the thing. 2021 was peak Very Very. Because, not to spoil, there's not a very big overlap of the time when Very Very was getting strong digital numbers, at least by Very Very standards, and strong album sales. And that overlap was essentially just 2021. Like, Getaway is one of their biggest hits, plus both of their highest selling albums up until this point were released in 2021. However, not to spoil, but Getaway is their last real hit. Like, we see the numbers start to slip pretty quickly after it comes out, and not to spoil, but they're never gonna go back to Getaway numbers. But let's actually get into it and talk about 2022. Okay, 2022, Ton. You may have forgotten in the brief stint we were in the retrospective corner, we ended 2021 with everyone getting COVID. So we started the year off a little quietly. So we're going to jump ahead to March, when Very Very would release their first post-debut digital single with Series O Round Zero, Who, along with its title track, Up. And here's the thing with O. O was a success compared to Trigger. It was not a success compared to any other release of theirs from definitely a post-2020 society, arguably 2019. It got 2 million streams on Spotify. That's a good number, far from their highest. The music video, meanwhile, got 11 million views. Again, an improvement from their last release, but also their second least viewed music video of the 2020s. To be fair, though, it was also a better song than Trigger. Like, I get why it did better. It's a better song. It's much more R&B. And not only more so than Trigger, actually, their most R&B title. And it's good. I like it. Also, I don't think this is a factor in why the song did better, but I do want to share, I love the album cover. I probably should have mentioned it when it was on screen, but either way, I love the album cover for this. I think it's so cool. Anyway, there's only one other song on here, which is Our Spring, our first ballad in around a year, and it's nice. It's pretty. It's the golden B-side by default. However, that digital single was just a taste, a little teaser. And sure enough, around a month later on April 25th, we got Series O Round 3 Whole, the group's first full album. And since we have album sales to discuss once more, let's discuss said album sales. This album sold great. We will continue the trend of Very Very albums outperforming its predecessor, with this album being a number 3 on the Gone chart, so a little lower but not bad, but more importantly, outselling their last album, picking up 85,000 sales. And then there's the title track, Undercover. I don't like this song very much. Like, the chorus isn't great. It's probably the biggest factor in me disliking this song, but the verses aren't that good either. It's not the end of the world. It's not their worst title. It's certainly not even, like, bottom 3. But also, even in terms of, like, darker sounding Very Very titles, we have Getaway. We have Layback. Like, we have better songs than this. And society does seem to agree with me, because Undercover was a flop. Okay, it did not do well. It has around 1.5 million Spotify streams, so around Trigger's number, we're not thriving, okay? Like, that's a major drop compared to all of their other post-2020 releases, including notably the song that they had released a month earlier. The music video, however, did get a boost compared to the pre-release and compared to Trigger. It has 13 million views, so progress, I suppose, but even compared to songs that were released in the 2020s. Like, not even their biggies, but songs like Thunder. Like, we're not reaching the same levels. And then there's the B-sides. And if I had to pick a core theme for this album as a whole, it would be potential. And I do mean that in a slightly negative manner because this isn't my favorite album. It's not that it's a bad album. It's not. It's not even Very Very's worst album by a mile. However, all the songs on here are just missing something. Like, there's always something holding them back. Candle is our ballad of the album, and it's nice. It's pretty, but it doesn't hit like other Very Very ballads do. Meanwhile, Childhood is very Disney, and I should love it. I am a child of the Disney Channel in the 2000s. It should be something I'm obsessed with. But the verses are kind of meh. They don't do much for me. And then there's Wish You Were Here, which would be perfect, except the music in the chorus is way too loud. Basically, every song has something holding it back. There are also just songs that I don't like, obviously, but like even the ones that are pretty good, there's something missing, with one exception. There's one exception on this album, and that is our golden B-side, Velocity. That is very possibly VERIVERY's best song, like, ever in their entire catalog. It's a perfect dance pop banger. The music is excellent. The chorus hits perfectly. Like, this is another one where if you're a casual VERIVERY listener, you don't really dive into their albums. You just do the singles and that's it. Please go listen to Velocity. Promotions for Undercover would run until May, just never, the Japanese version. Their first Japanese digital release, quickly followed on June 22nd by a Japanese version of Undercover, marking their Japanese debut. And can we talk about this for a second? Because this fascinates me in the sense that I feel like we're late. I feel like this is very late to have a Japanese debut. Like, compared to other groups who debuted around the same time as VERIVERY, I feel like this is just really late. Like, again, take VERIVERY, compare it to ONF, Japanese debut in the first 2 years. ONEUS, Japanese debut in the first 2 years. ACE, Japanese debut in the first 2 years. We're on year 3, and we're like deep into it at this point. This just feels late. To be fair though, this thing did also flop, for what it's worth. It peaked number 12 on the Japanese charts, and didn't even clear 10,000 copies. Now, I also want to point out actually, this album was made up of the O singles, like their Series O singles, but the Japanese versions, and that also fascinates me. Because, like, listen, Getaway, I get it. Getaway is one of their biggest hits, and I even can accept O and Undercover being on here, but you decided to record a Japanese version of Trigger and put that on the album when Layback is right there, and that's your biggest hit. That's your most recognizable song. I'm curious. Whatever, it flopped, let's move on. August. August got us Page Zero, the group's first domestic concert, which was then followed by a tour. The tour was mainly in the US. They had a massive US leg for this thing, with some other shows in Latin America as well. And I'm sorry, can we talk about this for a sec? I have thoughts. Listen, I can accept that they didn't come to Seattle on their first tour. Their first tour was a lot shorter. It had a lot less stuff. I want you to look at how many stops are on this thing, okay? The bottom 2 are Santiago, Chile, and Mexico City, okay? The rest of this is all US dates. Why didn't they come to Seattle? They went to fucking Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And here's the thing. Don't you look me in the eye and tell me Bethlehem was the Philly show, because that's ridiculous, okay? I'm a Philly boy. My mom's entire side of the family is in Philly. I've been there like 30 times. Bethlehem is like an hour away from Philly. It's like having a show in Bremerton and marketing it as Seattle. People would think you're ridiculous. They think you're fucking crazy for that, and you are. Listen. They could have had a Philly show if they wanted a Philly show. They just had to go to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and they didn't come to Seattle, and I'm still mad about it. Okay, it's been years, I'm still mad about it. Anyway, VERIVERY's tour would have a little pause, a little break in October, and then in November, we got this thing, Liminality at Love, their third single album, kicking off the Liminality series. I also have a copy of it. And this album went crazy. Okay, it peaked at number 3 on the Gong chart, so standard, very fair in the modern day, top 5, normal for them, right? It sold 140,000 copies. That is a massive increase from their last album. And just like when they released out Round 1, I think this is fascinating. I think it's so interesting when a group manages to put out their highest selling release with their singles, like single albums, because again, single albums don't sell as well. Just in general, single albums tend to sell lower than minis, which tend to sell lower than fulls, right? There's a hierarchy to the releases. You really only sell the most with a single when you're on the come up, when you're rising. And not only to outsell everything with a single, but to do so dramatically is crazy work. However, the album may have been thriving, the single was not. The album was led by Tap Tap, a massive flop. For starters, the music video picked up 10 million views, okay? That's a big drop from their last single, and also in general, that makes it their second lowest music video of the 2020s. Only Trigger has a lower view count. And then there's Spotify. So Tap Tap has 700,000 streams as of 2025, as of me writing and filming and doing this, okay? 700,000 streams. That's terrible. The only bright side about this comeback is that I got VERIVERY a win. And actually I got them 2 wins. They got 2 music show wins. However, that has more to do with the fact that this thing went crazy as opposed to this thing. And the thing is, I do kind of get it. Like, here's the thing with Tap Tap. Tap Tap is good, but it's also clearly two very distinct songs that got sort of smushed together, okay? The chorus is bright and fun and cute, and it could have been a moment on its own. Same thing with the verses, right? The verses could have been excellent in their own vibe as a song that was its own vibe, but they smushed them together in ways I don't love. Also, the only B-side on this thing is Motive, and I hate Motive. I don't like Motive. So we're not doing a golden B-side. I'm a despot. I can do what I want. This is my channel. Not to end the year on a downer, but unfortunately we're gonna do that anyway, because this album would also mark the final appearance of Minchan as of right now. He could rejoin the group tomorrow. I don't know, but as of right now, in August of 2025, Minchan has been on hiatus since this album came out. This was the last album to feature him. I'd say farewell Minchan. I put a little asterisk, because like he could come back, but it's also been like 3 years. Anyway, that's all I got for 2022. So let's go back to the retrospective corner. May I be overdramatic for a second and say that 2022 is the beginning of the end for Very Very? Because here's the thing. Very Very had not fallen off yet by the time the 2022 ending, right? Like, they were still getting strong album sales. They still had a decent fan base. However, things look a little different when we take into account the singles they released, especially Tap Tap. Tap Tap was by far the worst performing thing Very Very had released in years. Like, their worst performing single of the 2020s. Basically, the cracks were starting to form. Very Very obviously had never been a massive boy group, but they had been popular enough, and in 2022 we started to see them slip. We started to see them start to dip a little bit. And that's never ideal, but once more, only time will tell, and with that, on to 2023. Okay, day 2. We're on day 2. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to talk about 2023. 2023 is what I would consider the last real year of Very Very. And we begin our year with some more concerts. They bopped around Japan a little bit. They did shows in Osaka and Tokyo, and then they wrapped up the tour on February 19th in Taipei. Then, in March, Very Very would make their first Japanese comeback with the Tap Tap Japanese single. And again, I'm fascinated by this. Very Very's Japanese decisions, I'll call it, fascinate me. Because here's the thing. This album contained a Japanese version of Tap Tap, obviously, and that I get, I have no complaints about. It's the other songs on here that send me into a tailspin, because the other songs on this album were So Gravity and Love Line. And if you're not as intimately and disturbingly familiar as Very Very as I am, right? Like, I know their discography far too well at this moment in my life, because I've been listening to it almost exclusively, maybe not exclusively, but like heavily, for weeks. And those songs, if you didn't pick up on it, those are B-sides. And not only are they B-sides, they're old B-sides. Love Line, you may have forgotten, that's from Very Very's second mini album. Okay, and here's the thing. I get, theoretically, taking like a popular B-side and making that into a Japanese single, or even putting it on a Japanese album as a B-side on there. I get that. But here's the thing. One, these are not Very Very's best B-sides. Best in the terms of like success-wise, right? These are not Society's golden B-sides. If anything, they should be doing Photo. I'm glad they didn't, because you may recall, I don't like that song. But like, that's what they should be doing if they were to take that approach. But also, more importantly, I find it fascinating you're picking insanely old B-sides when you still have not done your most successful real single. I want to talk to someone. Okay, I want to talk to someone about the decisions that were made in regards to Very Very's Japanese releases, because I have questions, and I need answers. Answers I'll never get. So we're going to move on and talk about numbers now. This thing flopped. This thing did technically actually do better than their first Japanese single, but like, it peaked at number 11 on the charts and still failed to clear 10K, so it didn't do well. But it's fine. It's fine. That was just a Japanese comeback, and on May 16th we got a Korean comeback with the release of Liminality at Dream, their 7th mini album. And I want to start off by discussing the title track, Crazy Like That. Okay, this thing, we're not doing too great. We did better than the last comeback, so there is that, but we're not doing too hot at the moment. For starters, we did get an uptick in Spotify numbers. It got 800,000 streams. It is their second least streamed single, But their last comeback was their least streamed single, so I'm gonna take the progress where I can. YouTube is another story. YouTube actually did pretty well. This music video has 13 million views. Their most viewed music video in around a year. Does it have something to do with Yongsung being abs out in the thumbnail? Who's to say? I actually do want to touch on this for a moment because you may recall when they released past singles, I praised them. I said it was interesting and it was good that VERIVERY didn't take the horny route. They didn't take the abs out route. They're now taking the horny route. And I find this interesting because this is not the title track that I would have chosen for them to go abs out for. Like, they have songs where, like, if they were showing full stomach, fully shirtless, it would make more sense. This is not that. This song has a BPM of 117. This is a jaunty little pop song, okay? This is not the song where we as a society are meant to be horny. That said, I do like this song. I actually do really like Crazy Like That. It's fun. It's a fun pop song, right? Like, I enjoy it. I just don't think it's the one where we should have been showing full stomach. Whatever. Let's talk about the album now. We're still not looking too hot. We're still not looking too good. This became the first VERIVERY release in years to fail to outsell its predecessor. Like, obviously the album still sold well by VERIVERY standards. It picked up 95,000 sales and peaked at number 4 on the Gaon charts. It did well. It's their second highest selling album. It's also a very big drop in sales from their last album. Moving to the B-sides, not to continue negative spiraling, I don't like this album very much. It's not a bad album. That felt a bit harsh. It's not a bad album. It's a pretty good album. It's just, it's not their best. It reminds me of their Full, actually, in a lot of ways, in the sense that, like, a lot of the songs on here had potential to be good. They're just missing something. The sole exception, I would say, is our golden B-side, is Raincoat. That song's kind of everything to me. The chorus is gorgeous. The music is great. I love the verses. It's a good song. I really like it. Promotions for Crazy Like That would run into June, just in time for their Dream Shop FanCon, which they kicked off with 2 shows in Seoul at the end of that month. This was followed by Japan, and then they would wrap up in Taipei at the end of July. Then, in August, we would get enlistment time. It would be Donghan's turn. Where is he in this picture? He's right there. It's Donghan's turn. He enlisted in August, putting VERIVERY essentially on unofficial hiatus. I'm not even joking. Like, VERIVERY doesn't do anything for the rest of 2023. The only notable thing that occurs this year is that Hoyoung also goes on hiatus. So, like, he's also not back, by the way, which I find interesting. There's something going on in the VERIVERY dorms. I don't know what it is, but, like, a full quarter of your member lineup has gone on years-long hiatuses for undisclosed health reasons. Actually, that's not true. Minchun's we know is anxiety. I hope Hoyoung's doing well. Anyway, I don't feel like we've really done enough in 2023 for a retrospective. Like, the only thing I tell you is their success is diminishing. Okay, there you go. There's your retrospective. We're instead going to take a moment. I want to talk about military enlistments because I do have thoughts and feelings. Also, spoilers, I'm not going back to the retrospective corner. Like, in this whole video, the last time we were there was the last time we're going there. So if you missed it, I don't know, that's my usual corner. So, like, go watch any of my other videos if you like that corner. Well, howdy there. Welcome to my intermission corner. This is the intermission corner, and I've come to you today in my finest Cowboy Carter hat to talk about military enlistments, to talk about specifically the different routes different groups take when it comes to military enlistments and their release opportunities. Also, if anyone was wondering, yes, this is the same strawberry candle I was burning yesterday. It's quite nice. I actually do like it. I think I'll like it more when the heat isn't trapped in a room with closed windows, but we'll deal with that when I'm done filming. Until then, let's talk about Path 1. Path 1 is what I would consider the standard nothing. This is when, once the military enlistment era begins, you will not have a comeback until the lineup is full and complete once more. My table almost fell. My table with a lit candle on it almost fell. This should be a wake-up call for me. And it's not going to be. Instead, I'm going to give you the best example of Path 1. Path 1's best example is SHINee. Okay? SHINee, as a group, once they began military enlistment eras, we let the first 3 members enlist. The older 3 members all enlisted, finished their service, came back, then we got another comeback, and then Taemin enlisted, right? So Path 1 is basically the SHINee path. You get nothing unless the lineup is complete. Keeping with our SM theming, Path 2 is what I've dubbed the Super Junior path. You just won't have a complete lineup, right? Like, you just won't have the full lineup in the comeback until you're all done. This could also apply to EXO if they were to ever make a fucking comeback, but whatever. Basically, it's just Once the lineup is complete, you'll have a complete lineup again, and until then you'll take what you can get, and you won't complain. This method is admittedly easier with bigger groups, right? Like if VERIVERY was down 3 members, not that they wouldn't promote us for, because they have. They did a whole fan meet tour for it that we're going to get to, but not that they wouldn't promote us for, but like it would be a bit weird for a VERIVERY comeback to only have 4 of the members while 3 were in the military, right? For example, Treasure. If Treasure was down 3 members, they could come back as, 7? Like, that would be normal, right? That wouldn't be as weird as a smaller group. Also, for what it's worth, I do believe that Hoyoung and Minchan being on hiatus is why we did not take Path 2 with VERIVERY, right? They probably did not want to drop an album as the 4 remaining members. They wanted a more complete lineup. I think they could have probably been down to do it as like 5 or 6. I feel like once you're down to 4, that makes it a little trickier. Either way, this brings us to Path 3, which is, I would say, definitely the most recent development of the paths. Path 3 is pre-recording. You prep singles, albums, promotional material, music videos. You prep everything and you record it before the enlistment era begins, because I'm no expert on legal anything, especially in a different country like South Korea. My understanding of the law is that artists can't create material that earns them money. I think that's the technical wording. They can't record songs. I know that. I know they can't like go into a studio and record a song while they're on like break from the military. If they have like a week off, they're not allowed to go into the studio and record a new song during that week off. I'm pretty sure the first group to do this was Big Bang in 2018. Do not quote me on that. I'm functioning solely on memory. I just remember it was like a big thing that Top was in Flower Road because people were like, he's in the military, he's not allowed to do that shit. And they were like, no, he pre-recorded it, it's fine. This is memory, again. Do not quote me on that, but I believe this started with Big Bang. This, however, is the path I want to really hone in on, because this would have made the most sense for VERIVERY, right? Like, this is the path that I feel like would have been the easiest for them to do, because, spoilers, they didn't do this, right? Like, we have now covered every mainline VERIVERY release. Actually, every VERIVERY release. There's not, like, non-mainline ones coming out that I'm gonna get to. Like, we've hit every VERIVERY release. They do not release an album after this point. And it's time for conspiracy theories, because I don't want to place blame, but I do have to assume this was the original plan for VERIVERY, and then Hoyoung's hiatus kind of put it on pause. My theory, again, my crack theory, no proof, no anything, is they probably had a third liminality prepped, because that would have made the most sense. Like, just for starters, VERIVERY does trilogies, right? All of their albums could fall into a trilogy, with the exception of the liminalities, which there are only 2 of. More importantly, though, my biggest proof that something was in the works is Thank You Next. Thank You Next is on their last album, meaning there was some form of music in the works that could have been released that just has not seen the light of day. Again, my theory is just there was a third liminality in the works, and then Hoyoung went on hiatus, and they didn't want to promote us for it. That's my theory. I think they just didn't want to promote with half of the group gone, and that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Like, I feel like when you're a 7-member group and half of the members are gone, like, that's a big loss, right? That's my thought. That's my theory. Either way, let's get back to the timeline. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope we learned, and we're ready to talk about 2024. A year where basically nothing happens. But we're going to jump ahead to May, when VERIVERY would kick off the Go On Fan Meet tour, which they began in Seoul on May 12th. This was followed by some other stops in Asia before a relatively long US leg in June. They didn't come to me, which is stupid and wrong. I just want to chat with someone. I want to chat with someone at whatever organization decides where VERIVERY stops on their tours. I want to chat with someone. Will that chat end in violence? Who's to say? Anyway, that tour would end in July in Taipei, which is when I noticed something that you also may have noticed, which is that VERIVERY loves ending tours in Taipei. I don't know what it is about that city in particular, but, like, they've ended 3 of their 4 tours there, and I'm curious. Anyway, that's it for 2024. That's literally it. I told you nothing happens in this year, and I was right. This is the only real thing that happens. They toured for a couple months, that's it. No retrospective corner, because what we talk about, we're moving to 2025. So, current year, 2025. Another quick one, but potentially crucial. Our first technical thing is that Donghan came back. Where is he? Donghan came back. He's back from the military, good for him. He served and slayed, one would assume. The real thing that we're here to talk about for 2025, though, is the announcement that VERIVERY, specifically Jaehyun, Donghan, and Kangmin, would be going on Boys to Planet. And this is where I've decided to end our video simply because what happens next can go a lot of ways, right? Like, here are my predictions, actually. I'll give you predictions. I haven't written these down, but these are my predictions. Prediction 1 depends on if anyone makes it in the group, right? Like, if, again, Kangmin's our best bet. So if Kangmin makes it in the group, I do foresee this either being a newest situation or a Victon situation. Basically, they're going to do really well for a couple years, or they're going to start kind of falling off, quietly disband. That's my assumption, okay? Option 2 is that no one makes it in the group, which is my theory on what's probably going to happen, unless you follow my instructions, right? Never forget, vote for the boys. Vote for these boys. Specifically vote for one of these two. I'm sorry, Dongan. I'm sorry to Dongan, but like one of the other two, whatever. Vote for the boys. But my assumption is they're not going to make it in, right? That's my guess. I would love to be wrong. That's my guess. In that case, I think we could have like kind of a Gravity vibe where like, because of the new fans that are coming from the show, we're going to get a second wave of success. My hope is we get a second wave of success. My fear is that this is kind of going to be like Hot Shot. No, my actual terror is this is going to be like Attention, where they're just not, the members are going to get popular and then they're never going to appear in group content again. That would make me sad. That would make me really sad. I hope that doesn't happen. And that's it. That's all I got at this moment in time. Current day of filming, August 5th. It's now the 5th. It's been a day, of course. So as of August 5th, that's all I got. That's all I know. Okay, I would love to see these boys do well in the show. But until then, this has been the history of VERIVERY. Anyway, yeah, this has been fun. This has been fun to do. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Also, if you didn't pick up on that, thank you for watching. This has been fun. I do love making these. Listen, my spirit just wants to keep doing them with alarming frequency, and sometimes I have to talk myself down. Sometimes I have to talk myself down and remind myself that my ideal schedule is once a month. And then sometimes I do this. Sometimes I make 2 of them in like 2 weeks, and I go a little crazy, and it's hectic. Okay, listen, I reorient my entire bedroom when I film these. It's hectic. It's chaotic, and I have the time of my life. I love doing these. I forgot to say this in the last one. I was going to say this in my last video, and I forgot. If there's any groups you do want me to do a deep dive on, you can request it. I cannot guarantee anything. I promise nothing, but you may ask. You may ask, and there's a very real chance whoever you're going to ask for is already on my list. My list is long as shit. So, like, you can ask for whatever you want. I might do it. We'll see. Until then, I do believe the next one will be in September. If I decide to be sane and normal, my next History F should be in September. So until then, thank you once more for watching. Feel free to comment whatever you want down below. Let me know how you feel about everything I've said in this video. Just the whole spiel. Comment whatever you want. You can also like and subscribe if you want to, or don't. I will be fine either way. In the description, I'll be putting Smokey Glow's channel. I will put whatever VERIVERY reviews I've done. I've done some, not a ton, but like some. I think I've done the O series through the Liminalities, so like those will be down there. Whatever VERIVERY reviews I've done, I will put in the description. I will also put a playlist that has all of my other history ofs. If you enjoy the slideshow format, that's the last like year or so. Roughly 2/3 of them at this point have been that. The other ones are a lot of things. You may watch them if you so choose. But other than that, yeah. Thank you again for watching. Bye!